In a quiet corner of the galaxy, far from Earth but still close enough to watch it closely, an alien diplomat found herself on an unexpected mission. Her species had always been curious about humans, a race that seemed chaotic, unpredictable, and yet strangely fascinating because of their resilience. She was sent to observe humanity up close, tasked with understanding their motivations without interfering in their lives. But what she didn't expect was how deeply her own life would become entangled with one particular human. The story begins aboard a small space station orbiting near Earth's moon. This station served as a neutral zone where aliens could study humans without being detected. The alien, whose name roughly translates to reader, had a rare ability among her kind: telepathic sensitivity. This skill allowed her to sense surface thoughts if someone projected them strongly enough, or if she concentrated deeply. It wasn't something she used often. It required immense focus and energy, but it had proven useful during diplomatic negotiations. However, this time, things went awry. One evening, while observing through a transparent barrier designed to separate observers from humans, Reader accidentally brushed against the mind of a man standing just on the other side. He was tall, wiry, and carried himself with a calm authority that belied his apparent youth. His face bore no trace of fear or curiosity as he stared out at the stars, seemingly lost in thought. For reasons she couldn't explain, her attention lingered on him longer than usual. And then it happened, a fleeting touch, like brushing fingertips across water. Suddenly, fragments of his thoughts flooded into her consciousness. At first, they were disjointed images and emotions, flashes of fire, voices shouting in urgency, and an overwhelming sense of duty. But amidst the chaos, one phrase stood out clearly: guarding HFY. Confused and startled, Reader withdrew immediately. Telepathic intrusion was considered highly unethical, even accidental. Yet, before she could compose herself, another wave of information hit her, this time more coherent. She saw glimpses of classified documents, strange symbols etched onto metallic surfaces, and whispered conversations about HFY being both a weapon and a safeguard. The man wasn't merely guarding something. He was protecting humanity itself. Her heart raced, not out of fear, but excitement. HFY was a term unfamiliar to her people, though rumors suggested it held significance for humans. Was it code? A project? Or perhaps something deeper, tied to the very essence of what made humanity so enigmatic? Determined to understand, Reader decided to investigate further. Though protocol forbade direct interaction, she began piecing together clues from the fragments she'd inadvertently absorbed. Each revelation pulled her closer to uncovering the truth, but also placed her in greater danger. Little did she know, the man had already noticed her presence. And unlike most humans, he was trained to detect when someone or something was watching too closely. As days turned into weeks, Reader became obsessed with learning more about HFY. She spent hours analyzing the bits of information she'd picked up, cross-referencing them with data collected by her species over centuries. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. HFY wasn't just any ordinary secret. It was humanity's ultimate contingency plan, designed to protect the planet from threats both internal and external. But why had fate led her to discover it? And why did this man seem so central to its protection? Reader knew she couldn't do this alone. If she wanted answers, she'd have to take a risk and step out of the shadows. As days passed, the man known only as the Guardian within certain circles became increasingly aware of Reader's scrutiny. While others might have dismissed her subtle observations as coincidence, his instincts told him otherwise. Years spent guarding HFY had honed his perception, making him adept at spotting anomalies. When he finally confronted her, their meeting was tense but charged with mutual intrigue. "You've been watching me," he stated flatly. stepping into the dimly lit corridor where Reader had positioned herself to avoid detection. His voice carried no accusation, only certainty. Reader hesitated, unsure whether honesty or evasion would serve her better. Ultimately, she chose transparency. "I didn't mean to intrude," she admitted, her tone soft but firm. "But I saw glimpses, things you carry inside your mind." To her surprise, the Guardian didn't react with anger or suspicion. Instead, he studied her intently, his sharp eyes scanning for any sign of deception. After a moment, he nodded slightly. "You're not the first to try prying into my head, but you're the first who didn't come armed." This admission intrigued Reader even more. Clearly, the Guardian was accustomed to threats and prepared to neutralize them. Yet here he stood, willing to engage in conversation rather than resorting to hostility. Perhaps there was room for collaboration after all. Over the course of several clandestine meetings, Reader learned the full scope of HFY. It wasn't just a weapon or a shield. It was humanity's ultimate contingency plan. Designed as both a deterrent and a failsafe, HFY represented the culmination of centuries of innovation, sacrifice, and ingenuity. Its existence was known only to a select few, entrusted to individuals like the Guardian who embodied unwavering loyalty and resolve. But why had Reader stumbled upon this secret? As their bond deepened, she realized it wasn't mere chance. Her species' fascination with humanity stemmed from a shared history buried beneath layers of myth and misunderstanding. Long ago, ancient connections between their civilizations hinted at a symbiotic relationship, one that had since fractured due to mistrust and miscommunication. Together, Reader and the Guardian uncovered fragments of this forgotten alliance. They discovered that HFY wasn't solely humanity's creation. It bore traces of influence from Reader's ancestors, woven into its design as a testament to unity. Realizing this, Reader understood her role wasn't merely observational. She had been drawn to the Guardian because fate demanded reconciliation. Their fragile partnership faced numerous challenges, including attempts by rogue factions to seize control of HFY. These factions were ruthless, willing to do whatever it took to harness the power of HFY for their own gain. One night, while Reader and the Guardian worked together to decode an encrypted file related to HFY, they narrowly escaped an ambush. The attack left them shaken, but more determined than ever to protect the artifact, through perseverance and trust. However, they managed to safeguard HFY while forging a new path forward. By the end of their journey, Reader returned to her people not as an outsider, but as a bridge, a living reminder that humanity's greatest strength lay not in isolation, but in connection. Her experiences with the Guardian taught her that even the smallest acts of understanding could lead to profound change. And though the galaxy remained vast and uncertain, one truth became undeniable. Sometimes, the smallest accidents lead to the most profound discoveries. For Reader, stumbling upon the Guardian's thoughts wasn't just a moment of intrusion. It was the beginning of a journey that would reshape her understanding of humanity and her place in the universe. As she looked back on everything they had accomplished together, Reader felt a sense of hope. Hope that the fragile alliance she and the Guardian had built could inspire others to seek common ground. In a world often divided by fear and mistrust, their story served as a reminder that cooperation was possible, even between the most unlikely allies.